Hey, what's up everyone? Welcome to Alpha Trail. Vader Protocol is one of the projects recently launched which promises to bring together some of the best ideas from decentralized finance. In this video, we'll capture what are these important key ideas that Vader Protocol is trying to implement. We'll discuss about the unique features and also the current status of the protocol. A quick disclaimer before we proceed. This video is only for education and entertainment purpose. Please consult your financial advisor for any investment related activities. Okay, let's understand what the project is all about. Well, Vader Protocol is a native stablecoin anchored AMM with protocol owned liquidity. Basically, it uses three best core ideas from DeFi. Firstly, it uses a stablecoin mechanism of Terra Money's burn to mint Luna USD. Here, USDV, which is a stablecoin of Vader Protocol, is issued by burning to and from the Vader token, thereby enabling in maintaining the peg of USDV to USD. Secondly, the AMM of Thorchain, which deploys continuous liquidity pools and impermanent loss protection. And finally, the bond sales mechanism of Olympus Pro that helps in providing long-term protocol liquidity. Let's look at each of them in detail. Very similar to the dynamics of Luna token and stablecoin UST in the Terra ecosystem, Vader Protocol also uses a similar stablecoin mechanism. If we look at the Luna token, it basically helps in absorbing the volatility of the stablecoin UST such that it can maintain its peg to USD. Let's see how this works. Here you can see the stablecoin USDV is worth 1 USD. The yellow color here shows the supply of the stablecoin USDV and the supply of Vader token. Both of them are interrelated. Whereas the demand, which is shown in blue color, is independent of everything else, including the price of the Vader token. Let's look at this expansion scenario when the demand of the stablecoin goes up. In such a scenario, the demand of the stablecoin outpaces the supply of the stablecoin. So what happens is the peg of USDV to USD goes above 1 and would trade at a premium since the demand is more than the supply. When such a scenario happens, the protocol incentivizes users to burn Vader and mint USDV. As mentioned earlier, in order to create more USDV, the Vader tokens can be burned. And in order to reduce USDV, the Vader tokens can be minted. So here, the supply is made equal to the demand so that the peg of USDV to USD is maintained and is brought to parity. Similarly, for the contraction scenario, when the price of USDV is below the peg of $1, the supply is too high and the demand is too low. So in this scenario, when the demand of USDV goes down, the supply of Vader token is increased by minting new Vader tokens by reducing the supply of USDV stablecoins. So here, the supply is made equal to the demand so that the peg of USDV to USD is maintained and is brought to parity. So if you observe the movement of the supply of both the Vader token and the supply of the stablecoin, we can see that both move in opposite direction. When the supply of USDV goes down, more Vader tokens are burned to increase the USDV supply to maintain the peg. Now when the supply of USDV goes up, more Vader tokens are minted to decrease the USDV supply to maintain the peg. The next important idea used in Vader protocol is the use of continuous liquidity pools. This is similar to what is used in Thorchain to offer impermanent loss protection and encourage users to provide liquidity for the long term, that is for more than 100 days. Now we know that impermanent loss has always been a major issue when providing liquidity with DeFi protocols. So to avoid this, Vader protocol uses continuous liquidity pools. So what happens here is when a depositor makes a deposit to the continuous liquidity pool, a deposit value is recorded. Now, at the time of withdrawal, a redemption value is recorded. Now, if the redemption value is less than the deposit value, the depositor is paid for the deficit from the protocol's reserve. The important thing to keep in mind is the protection increases from 0% to 100% linearly for 100 days. Normally, liquidity providers who are providing liquidity to the pool with any protocol are rewarded based on the fees generated from the protocol. These fees on the AMMs are normally fixed rate fees. But the key issue with the fixed rate fee is that these are dependent on the size of the trade, but at the same time does not capture the value of the liquidity provided. So Vader Protocol addresses this by having a liquidity sensitive slip based fee mechanism. This means the fee depends on the liquidity provided in the pool. For example, if you have a thinner pool for the LPs, then LPs will have a higher fees, which is an incentive for users to come with more liquidity. Similarly, for larger pools for LPs, the LPs will have smaller fees. According to Vader Protocol, this mechanism will make it expensive for any exploit like a sandwich attack to be carried out, where the attacker front runs and back runs simultaneously to drain away funds. Another aspect of Vader Protocol is the creation of synthetic assets, which helps in protecting against any impermanent loss. Now, synthetic assets are basically they replicate the value of assets being provided in the protocol. That is, it will always have a 1:1 purchasing power, and they do not accrue any impermanent loss or yield. Now, having a larger adoption of synths help in providing deep liquidity to the pool. Synths are 50% collateralized by real assets and 50% collateralized by the stablecoin USDV. Probably we can consider Vader as the best AMM for liquidity providers, as it provides continuous liquidity pools that maximizes fees, impermanent loss protection for long-term LPs, and synth holders who face no impermanent loss. Bond sale mechanism for protocol owned liquidity. One of the key issues that DeFi platforms face is that they do not have their own liquidity. These protocols tend to bring in users by offering very high APYs, and the users later flee with both the rewards and the liquidity, leaving protocols high and dry. The solution to this is protocol owned liquidity, which has been recently adopted by a number of protocols. The protocol owned liquidity for Vader protocol is generated by the bond sales. This helps in having long-term liquidity that is owned by the protocol and is governed by the Vader tokens. So the users can purchase discounted Vader tokens by just purchasing the bonds. There are two kinds of bonds here. One is the fixed price bonds and the second one is the perpetual bonds. The fixed price bonds are not available all the time. Here in the image, you can see the first Vader fixed price bond sales. There was a good demand for the bonds and was sold out in 30 minutes. These bonds are vested for a certain time duration and can be acquired by supplying various LPs. Now, as a protocol owns LPs, it also earns trading fees. The treasury uses a profit from the bond sales to mint Vader and distribute to the stakers of Vader. So as a protocol continues to own more liquidity, the platform becomes stronger and Vader becomes more valuable. The second fixed price bond sales happened on Jan 26th. Around 50 million Vader tokens were sold for $2.6 million. And the best part was it was sold out in 15 minutes. Let's look at the Vader Tokenomics. Vader Protocol has a maximum supply of 25 billion tokens. And out of this, 7.5 billion tokens is to be claimed by the holders of VETH. And an additional 12.5 billion tokens are paid out as liquidity incentives. 2.5 billion tokens are for partnerships and an additional 2.5 billion tokens for the team, which are vested linearly over 2 years. Here you can see the roadmap of the project, which indicates what is planned in the coming quarters. In 2022, we will see deployment of products like collateral debt leverage positions and having cross-chain deployments, which will help the project in scaling up. The transition towards DAO will have better community involvement and thereby better governance. So overall, the all-in-one DeFi protocol looks like a very interesting one considering that it is bringing in some of the best of the aspects from DeFi. It is having a long-term goal of building an AMM with permanent and sustainable liquidity to incentivize liquidity providers and at the same time able to solve some of the existing problem. Let's keep a watch on this project which can create an impact in the medium to long term. Thanks for watching. If you find this video informative, please like, share and subscribe.